Hey, Corey, Ken Hill. I am getting your video all queued up here, and yeah, very cool. Yeah, glad that you could submit it. It's the perfect view. Got a little bit data in there as well, so that's awesome. Yeah, awesome that you submitted this. And it's funny, and I'll just say this, not that you don't know this already because you're doing it. But it's great. There's so many things that we can do away from the track. Every other sport, looks at their videos, and they evaluate them and critique them to improve. But for some reason, we're not doing that enough in our sports and our motorsports. We've got all these cool videos, but yeah, to send them to a professional and have them looked at to get next steps is a big deal. That way, when you go out again, you've got your stuff figured out on what you want to work on. So yeah, overall, very good lap, very quick. Car looks like it works well. A couple things that after watching the video a few times, there's definitely some things that I'd like to see you mess with, and we'll go kind of go corner by corner on those things. And I'll draw it out for you as well. But just a few little things that we'll tweak. And I think we're gonna, again, it's not so much, I think we can get you better lap time, that's fine. But I think we'll put you in a position for a lot better lap time down the road as we get some of this stuff figured out. So, all right, so I'm gonna start the video. And then we're coming down here into the last corner, Buttonwillow, super fun track. There's a good turn in. Yep, drive off, I like that. Use all the track, fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna stop it here. And what you're gonna see for the first few corners, the things that I noticed a lot overall was a lot of early turn-ins. And I know that the turn-ins are early because we're having to maintain steering wheel angle after the apex, and your exits get delayed. So there's, I can hear the throttle just doesn't want to get open as far as we want it to because we still have some steering wheel angle there. So that'll be a lot of the main thing. And then also I'd like to see you work on, we're going to take some of these braking zones and we're going to straighten them out. And then I'm going to draw out a brake graph that I'd like to see you try as well. And I'd like to think in some of the spots where you can maximize more, make your acceleration zone longer. And then we're going to switch your braking zone from sort of like straight up and down braking versus braking and turn in. And I'm going to separate those two things because corners that really could play an advantage. Buttonwillow's got some great corners where that could be a big advantage. So, all right, here we go. Coming into one. Yeah, I like this. Yeah, brakes pretty late. So let's stop it right there. And I mean, what I think is you end up with a pretty darn good apex. Yeah, nice. I would have liked to see your initial steering wheel rate be a hair slower. So your turn-in was almost early, and then the rate was pretty quick. So you could turn in early like that, but maybe slow the initial wheel down just a little bit. Okay, that one was bad. It worked out pretty darn good on the exit. All right, coming down here into two, let's talk about this. Because you think about where do you want to end up? Where do you want to end up in two, right? So where you really want to end up is as you come around, right? You want to be just slightly out here a little bit, right? You don't want to run so super far down. You don't want to hold too much radius there. You want to bring it out a little bit and rotate it around. That way you can take away more steering wheel angle and then, of course, have the accelerator down. So in this case, I think that we could have you come in here a little bit straighter. And I know there's variations of this, but hang on a second. Let me explain. I'd like to see you come in here a little bit straighter. So coming in here to this apex, I'm going to draw that a little bit better. Yeah, coming in here a little bit straighter like this. And then what I'd like to see is thinking about having your maximum braking, right? In other words, where you have the most brake pressure is going to be down in this area right here. And then as you approach this apex, we're gonna let off the brake. We're not gonna give up the brake, but we're gonna trail brake in there a lot lighter and carry it out a little bit to help it rotate a little bit later. So you'll carry more speed in, but when the rotation's done, it's pointed straighter. So I know that's kind of a lot, but corners like that where you want to, they sort of tighten up there right after the entry, we can do that. So if we were to draw out, a braking graph on that one, so bear with me here. If we were to draw out a brake graph on that, is we would have something like this, where we would have you go to the brakes and then really ramp up the brake pressure. And then you kind of hold it right in that little area I drew out. And then as you get to the apex, you're gonna really drop away the brake pressure, not quite give it up, and then give it up. So this is gonna help get the roll speed in through the apex. This section here will get the roll speed. And then by the time you release the brake here, you'll be pointed, but you would have kept up all that roll speed. So ultimately, I like this. I think it's gonna be faster in and faster out. Is the idea, and you also will have less steering wheel angle when you do it. So, all right, let's continue here, and you'll see, because you're just picking the gas up there, right at the apex. And I think we can go just a little bit further with the brake right in there and keep that in there. And then look what you're having to do with the steering wheel. And I know that corner has that, but I think that you could have less steering wheel angle as you go to apply drive throttle. Coming down here into 3. Yeah, so let's talk about this, because a little bit early in 3, and here's why, right? You end up holding it here a little bit, you end up holding the wheel, but not necessarily the trajectory of the car. So what I mean by that is, you come in and you're pointed, look where you're pointed, right? So we're here, we're kind of pointed a little bit of this direction. And you have to think about what we're trying to do is we're trying to finish 3 to help our setup here, right? So we're trying to kind of make it something like these two can connect. So I think what we can do is a slightly later turn in. Yeah, you're starting it, about halfway or just past halfway. I don't think the end of the curb, but I would say as you approach the end of the curb would be a little bit of a better turn in. So you can just see where your wheel's starting to move right in there. And I think what we can do is we can be just a little bit, I think we can start our turn in maybe right down in here a little bit. It doesn't seem like much, but it's going to be huge on the direction on the exit of 3. All right. And here's why. Because here you end up holding some wheel, and then you automatically turn in here. And look where we're pointed, right? So here, if you look at this, where we're pointed now is this way, when instead we want to have the car more wrapped around this way. So all it's going to do is you're just going to hold wheel, and then you're not going to be able to accelerate the way we would like to see you accelerate right there. And you can see, right, look how much wheel you're having to hold, and then look where you're pointed at this point. So yeah, I like that over the top there. I like that. So here, again, we wanted to be pointed. We just wanted the car over a little bit to the left, so we're pointed a little bit straighter down the hill. Now, as you go over the top of the hill, because that's not quite a 90-degree corner, right, we can turn in early there, and it works out really well. And what's the report card for that is, watch. You go to accelerate, and actually steering wheel angle could have been released a lot earlier. So when you got low into here, low there just had you holding that wheel a little bit. So again, here, I wanted you pointed a little bit more this direction, just slightly more this direction, so then we're straighter pointed down that direction. Yeah. All right, let's take a look here. And then as we come down here, yeah, so I like that. And again, this is less than a 90-degree corner. So let's look at the report card here. You turn in, you add steering wheel angle, and now you're taking away steering wheel angle. Yes, yes. And the whole idea is, you know, the slowest point of this corner is all the way, you know, is pretty far back. But the idea is, you know, what we want to do is we want to add steering wheel angle to the slow point. Slow point's not the apex here, but you're going to add steering wheel angle and then take away steering wheel angle. Beautiful. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Yeah, like that. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, some cars you got to be a little bit careful that some cars like the curbs, some cars don't like the curbs. I would say, you know, I don't know the specific setup on your car. It looks like it works. It looks like it actually works pretty darn well. Might have just a little bit. I mean, it looks like the front might be a little bit light, but I would say that your car seems to be the kind of car that likes to kiss the curbs, but not run over the curbs. And we have to remember, anytime that those things it's getting upset, it's taking away from the thing being propelled forward, right? So there's lost time with the car being completely upset over the curbs. And again, just a little bit early. Actually, let's go back and watch that again. I want to look at the steering wheel rate. Yeah, I think that's something that we can add to your toolbox. Is I actually liked your turn-in wasn't bad, maybe a hair early, but also I think your initial wheel rate can be slowed down a little bit as well. Yeah, beautiful job there. Yeah, so that's a great example there, right? When you got the process right, and I realize that it's less than 90-degree corner, but when you got the process right, you started it earlier, turned it, you actually ran less wheel angle on that one. Yeah, really good. Same thing here, just a little early, And again, the car, it's like you're finishing direction after the apex. And you can get away with that in a car. I mean, this makes very good power, but you can get away with that, you know, in a certain horsepower level with good grip. But the higher the horsepower, the less grip, then that does not work. So I want you to really think about finishing direction before the apexes instead of finishing direction after the apexes. Coming here into Riverside. Honestly, pretty darn good Riverside. You know, this is a little bit car specific. One of the things that I've had really good success with, and something that we've tried as a group, is, you know, when I come in here into Riverside, is I actually will make a conscientious effort to have my wheel straight, and I accelerate in, and depending on the car, how the car's working, how much power it has, how much speed, even a little bit of brakes down in here to help the rotation helps a ton. But the idea is that we can keep accelerating longer through here and then get it to rotate down in and then drive off a little bit sooner. But as far as steering wheel angle and your car placement, yeah, it's very good. Yeah, this is great. Let's take a look at this. I want you to see this. Is pay attention to your steering wheel rate as you turn into the left here, right? Look how much slower and earlier it is. Beautiful, beautiful. And then you end up not using as much steering wheel angle when you do that. Okay, when we come over the top here, again, early turn in. Yeah, so, I mean, the problem is that you end up fighting some steering wheel angle on the exit. This was always a place where I was set up to make a pass coming into the sweeper, because I'd find people holding wheel after the apex and they just couldn't get the power down like they wanted to. So I'd back that up a little bit, start my straightaway longer, have less wheel, and the pass would be down in the sweeper. All right, let's talk about this. I think this is a similar situation to 2. Where do you want to be, right? Where do you want to be? And where you want to be is 2/3 of the way through the sweeper is where you want to be set up for the exit. Well, we want to be set up wide. Okay, great. So a low entry into the beginning of the sweeper puts you out wide. So same thing here is I'd like to see you run in much, much straighter, like lower and straighter, because what that's going to do is it's actually going to position you, because here, look, you're actually adding wheel in here where I would be taking away wheel because I'd be accelerating out to that 3/4 part. So the way that we're going to draw this out, pardon my drawing here, I'm going to do the best that I can. So we would do something where we would come in and we would enter lower, and then we'd actually drive it out to here a little bit, let it rotate, and then come back around. Maybe not that quite of an example, but in this case, right, what you're doing is you're coming in like this, and then you're just having to add steering wheel angle in here, hold steering wheel angle, where I'd be taking it away and driving out there, and then a little bit of decel with a little bit of brake, even if we need it, for the rotation for the exit. And I think you'll be pretty surprised what that'll do. You'll actually get a better entry because you'll accelerate longer, you'll be more straight up and down. And then again, that brake release that we talked about for 2 is very much the same right here. It's a big entry corner, right? So entry corners, we're going to use the brakes to or past the apex because it's an entry corner. All right. Yeah, nice job there. I actually liked your exit right there. And that's the whole thing, is that because that exit opens up, yeah, you had the car in a great place right there. I really like that. Where the exit there, you can be a little bit early there because the exit opens up. It's exactly the whole idea. What we're talking about is adjust for the radius of the corner. Yeah, beautiful job on the exit of the S's. Same thing, steering wheel moved early and slowly, and you barely had to move the wheel. Awesome. Tad early for the last corner, not bad, a tad early. You know, I think this is something that we talked about a little bit in the beginning of the video is, yeah, it's pretty darn good, actually. Yeah, I really like what you're doing here, which is, let's talk about this, because I think, I mean, you actually do a very, very good job of this, but let's explain it, which is, I like what you do as far as you're really maximizing your straight up and down braking, right? Things straight, up and down, you're maximizing your speed control right there. Really good. And you're committing to that, keeping the wheel straight, right? Committing to that. And then as we turn in, realize that, you know, obviously it's a little bit lighter braking with the trail braking, but you're staying with the brake to help the car tighten up its radius. Yeah, I thought that was very, very good. But I wanted to explain it. I wanted to explain it because, yes, that's what you do. Yeah, honestly, I really liked that. So, all right, I'm going to watch that again. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I liked it. Took away steering wheel angle and the exit. Fantastic. All right. Overall, yeah, I mean, honestly, a really good lap. I think there's a few things, like I said, that we can clean up. And the whole idea is, I think if we can get some of these, the overall picture is, let's get some of these early turn-ins fixed. Remember, the early turn-in, we're fixing it so we can have direction sooner, right? We want to turn in, we want to turn a little bit later, so we're not holding wheel angle, so the car's pointed straighter earlier, so our straightaway becomes longer. We just saw some of the delays with that. Second thing is about some of those brake zones. I think I'd like to see you tighten up some of those where we're really differentiating between speed control and direction control, and then taking advantage of what some of those corners, those big entry corners offer, like the entry corner of 2, entry corner of the sweeper as well. I think if you think about it as, okay, I'm gonna go in, use the brakes a little bit to or past the apex, and when I'm done with my braking application, the rotation should be done so it's pointed earlier. So that's the whole idea with both those. But yeah, overall, yeah, I mean, really good. And I think these are a few things that you can get and get cleaned up. So, all right. Yeah, one other thing I'll notice, I'll talk about, and I didn't go into it too much because it's a lot, is I do think that we could start working on a little bit more work on reference points. Meaning that I think that we could do some more work with defining reference points and defining your reference points, and know that, I mean, there's 5 reference points that we're concerned with: our exit apex, our entry apex, our slowest point of the corner, or where you release the brake, where you turn in, and where you apply the brakes. And I think we could start building a little bit more of an inventory of those. And I think that would really help with some of the braking stuff that I'm talking about. And then also with the brake release points as well. So I know it's a lot, but you're driving super well, and we get a few things cleaned up. Yeah, you're gonna be flying. So, all right, great. All right. Yeah, let me know if there's any questions, and then yeah, I hope you take some more video. Yeah, this is super awesome.